everyone, this is Lisa Bowerman, and you are listening to the 100th edition of MarkWHO42. 42.
Oh, wow, guys, you're listening to Show 100, and she introduced herself at the beginning during the credits of the new MarkWHO42. We've got Lisa Bowerman here on our 100th episode, MarkWHO42. I'm your host, Mark-Baumgarten, and with me are...
Patricia-helm, the only girl, as always.
Yeah. Well, yes, you are. Can't deny that, Trish.
Nope.
And this is Eduardo-m-Freyre. We've reached episode 100, and I am the undisputed master of Cards Against Gallifrey.
Oh, no.
You will all obey me. You will all fall before the power of blank plus blank equals blank.
Help. Somebody.
There is no help for you!
Show 100, show 100.
Or Ed.
Peoples of the universe, please attend carefully.
No.
Are we
Who else
putting our audience to sleep for show?
Who else do we got?
Oh my God. Do I really need to follow that?
Yeah, you do.
All right, fine. My name is Christian-basel, going beyond!
Wow, that was echoey. That was kind of... That was I don't know. That was okay. All right, I guess. Who else do we have?
Hi, everybody. Patrick-Hawkins here. Apologizing in advance. I'm fighting off a terrible cold, so I'm low on cold medication. But high on Mexican Coca-Cola, so it's going to be a fun show.
Woohoo! Show 100. Everyone, take a drink. It's our 100th episode. Take a drink. Yeah. Oh, you're listening to MarkWHO42. We used to be MarkWHO42 Universe. Now we're just MarkWHO42 because we go beyond the WHOniverse.
And it's easier to write on all those convention applications.
Oh, definitely. When you write MarkWHO42, less letters and numbers in MarkWHO42's universe, because then you have to do capital letters, WHO. It's a lot. It's a big thing. And, that also means we could have guests that are not from Doctor Who. Wouldn't that be interesting? Who could we get? Who knows?
No, we're just trying to prevent companies from charging us by the letter.
Yeah, that's pretty much it. I mean, when we were at MegaCon, they were like, they just wrote MarkWHO42s on the program book. They didn't write MarkWHO42's universe.
And they put an apostrophe S.
They put MarkWHO42.
They left it alone.
I didn't quite get that. Oh, we had a great time at MegaCon, didn't we?
Oh, we certainly did. We absolutely did.
Yeah, I hope we're back next year. Oh, it was just great. I'm sure we will, because we got some real props. We got a lot of people talking about us there.
And by all means, if we have new listeners that we have picked up from our appearances at MegaCon, welcome aboard. Welcome. It was nice meeting you all at MegaCon, and welcome to our cyber party.
Yeah, and we could have this party all day long, and in fact, we are going to. But first, let's go to...
But first, we're going to party on with Doctor Who News with our partying correspondent, Patricia-helm. No, I haven't gotten that drunk yet.
And let's hope he doesn't, because that accent is bad enough without being drunk, I'll tell you that. Trish,
I bet I could drink you under the table.
Too much information.
Too much
Patrick,
information,
can you send some NyQuil to Ed over there?
Nah, I'm on Sudafed, man. It's easier to buy a gun in Florida than it is to buy a pack of Sudafed, I just found out.
Now, Trish, before you do the news, let me just say something. If you're listening to this section of the show, if you're listening to the news, that means you're listening to our podcast, because this is a bonus feature. This was not on the krypton-radio version of our show. Isn't that true?
Yes, it is.
Yes, it is. So, Trish, what Doctor Who news do we have for all the special listeners who came to either our site or to iTunes or to Florida Geek-sc or Geekcast Radio? What extra stuff do they get?
Well, this news just came in as you passed this on to me, but
Yes,
Doctor Who just received an award at the BAFTA Craft Awards for special visual and graphic effects.
Yeah, you had mentioned this a couple of weeks ago on the news that they were up for it, and they actually won it.
They just won.
Yeah.
Thank you for letting me know.
You're welcome.
That helps.
Every bit helps, yes.
Now, I heard this story this week, and it kind of ticked me off. I wonder if you guys heard about it. Oh. Over in the UK, they're getting ready to have a British general election.
Okay, yes.
And one of the people running, who is for the UK Independent Party, his name is Nigel Farage. Is that?
Yeah, he's the new Michael Grade, basically, in my book.
Yes. Well, he had a public meeting in Rochester, and he says that he thinks that BBC should cut back to the bone, as he put it. And he thinks that they should cut the license fee to a third of what it is, and that BBC should just be and this is a quote, purely a public service broadcaster with an international reach.
Well, that's what it was originally supposed to be.
Yeah,
Like
well, guess
NPR
what? There's no
without
money in that.
There's no money in it. No, there's absolutely no money in it. And I think this guy should not win the election. If we have to campaign against him, I think we should.
Oh, wow.
So he wants them.
Tell why.
Okay,
Tell why. Trish, go ahead. Tell everyone why.
Well, he thinks that they should just be doing local news coverage, arts programs, and religious broadcasts. And basically they should stop making Doctor Who, Strictly Come Dancing, and Top Gear.
And I'm pretty sure he probably wants EastEnders to end too, because that show, well, what's the point?
Now, Trish, did he specifically, in any of his communications, did he specifically mention those three shows, or is he just talking about BBC entertainment in general?
He was just talking in general.
Oh, he didn't mention that? I thought he mentioned Doctor Who in Top Gear.
No, he did not.
I've read stuff saying this guy wants Doctor Who to be canceled specifically, and I was just wondering, does he really have a hate boner for it, or is it just like BBC entertainment in general? Which is, I think, it's just as deplorable, because even if you're not a Doctor Who fan, you're probably a fan of one of those other shows. They're great exports. They're international moneymakers.
Sherlock would be among them too.
Are you listening, Tumblr girls? This evil man wants to take your beloved Sherlock away.
Oh no!
Yeah, I gotta question the man's logic, because if this grand scheme were to succeed, BBC would not have an international reach. Please excuse me, but why would anyone in the international realm want to watch the BBC if it ends up being bare bones and looking like the way this guy wants it? There's no way anybody would want, outside of like a very small local sphere, would want to keep watching.
The only thing I could think of that would make logical sense is he pulling a Romney, where he was during the debates, he was on stage and he was like, public television, like Big Bird, and the guy who was talking to, I think was it Lehrer that he was talking to? Jim Lehrer. He's saying, sorry guys, you're going to get kicked to the curb, because he wants those to be more of a commercial, privately owned entity as opposed to a publicly owned entity, and he's making it more like NPR on TV rather than this entertainment channel.
He's looking for NPR on TV.
Oh, okay.
Which is kind of what the BBC was supposed to be originally.
Well, see, this is the thing. I mean, I like NPR as much as the next guy, but I'm a realist in saying nobody wants NPR on TV.
Well, think about it. They got Wait, Don't Tell Me, so they have branched out. They have Ask Me Another. And they've got Garrison Keillor's Prairie Home Companion, so there is entertainment on NPR.
Right, but you also understand. The BBC. Well, but you also understand what I'm getting at.
Yeah, I do.
That if it's this pure educational, informational thing, it's not going to work.
No.
Hey, Mark.
Yes.
Do you happen to know how much the license fee is? Isn't that the fee that everyone pays?
Yes, the fee that everyone pays. It's something like over £100 a year.
I thought it was £200 a year.
It is close to 200. It's like 100 and. We could look that up. We could totally look that up. While you're doing the next story, we'll look that up.
Well, I'm just curious. What is his ultimate goal? Is it just to save money, or is it
his party? And I actually looked this up. They're populist libertarian slant funneled through the UK system. So I mean, granted, the UK's socialist. It's like Bones would probably go against a libertarian sense, but as far as I can tell, it seems to be kind of a fusion. And yeah, there seems to be a lot of fiscal populism to it as well, saying the people he's appealing to don't watch Doctor Who, really don't watch entertainment-based television. They watch the news, they want to know the weather, and then harumph. So
£145.50 a year.
So you have to ask.
So that's like $200.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's like but you have to ask. Do the people that pay that every year, do they want to keep Doctor Who, or would they rather have the license fee? I mean, would they rather have their fee cut?
Exactly. Those are going to be the people who vote. The voters are going to have to stand up for this one. And if you don't want the BBC to be stripped down to its bare bones, you vote against this guy.
Well, remember, too, I think this guy's just voting for a seat. It's not like he's voting for entertainment czar or anything.
Yeah,
like
that's
that,
true. He wouldn't get to, once he's elected, to just do it automatically. No, that's not how it works.
And again, I think he's a P. I think he sounds like a guy who's trying to appeal to the people he appeals to. So it seems like one of those crazy things, that we get over here in the United States, which is like, well, first thing in office, we're going to round up all the illegals and send them back, which sounds great in the bully pulpit, but realistically, it doesn't really quite work out that way.
Wow, MarkWHO42 getting all political here on the 100th episode.
I also want to see all sides of the story.
I know we have.
Well, I want to see all sides of the story and see, I've always heard politicians, he wants to starve kids or throw grandma over the cliff or, all these things. But then when you finally dig into it, you're like, oh, I get you. Okay, and I don't think this is a popular idea, especially how deeply embedded the BBC has now become an international entertainment icon. Though it is publicly funded, I don't see this being a popular ideology out there, and it's already steeped in there.
It probably isn't. I doubt that it's popular at all.
As we all know, what politicians say just to get elected is usually quite radically different from what they actually do when they get into office. So.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Plus,
Christian, I do agree with you, though, Christian. We are getting like the Xerox of a Xerox of a Xerox of a Xerox. It's like we're just being on this side of the pond and everything else. We're not getting a full story to the guy. I'm not going to demonize him per se, but it certainly smells. And all I know about the BBC television license is that in every BBC comedy I've ever seen, the characters are afraid because they get busted because they don't pay it, and they basically steal cable like we do over the United States. Not that I would know anything about that.
Oh yeah, I don't know anything about
Of course you wouldn't. Of course you wouldn't. But yeah, and plus, my final thought on the matter, we don't have all sides of the story, and plus, hey, even if we're right on the nose, another thing that happens all the time is politician says something crazy, and then the next day they go, well, they misheard my words, and what I actually meant is ... and they backtrack, and, and they try to, smooth it over, and, you'll then have a picture of this politician with Peter Capaldi, and, doing the thumbs up, and it's I love Doctor Who, boo Daleks!
It sounds like it's one of those things where they're testing the water, like, let's see if we just threw this little cog into the machine and see what happens, and then when you see that hell breaks loose, you're like, that's not what I said. What I meant was, I don't want to get rid of Doctor Who, I just wanted somewhere else.
Yeah.
You guys misunderstood. I love Doctor Who.
These guys, the party's main doctrine is to break away from the European Union, so I think that...
well, there you go. Trish, next news story, please.
All right. So last week we talked about them wanting to make a Doctor Who movie about the leaked Sony emails and everything. Well, Stephen Moffat, he's responded to this, and he said that you can't make a movie that damages the TV series. And that's the only thing he has to say about it.
That's all he has to say.
Well, that's not true. He said, is that ever what he just has to say? No.
No, probably not.
Well, I'll say this much. I like what he has to say so far, and I can't say that very often.
That's true. I'd have to agree. He says that he'd be very happy for there to be a movie, but it's just how do you do it right now without hurting the TV show? So he says someone can work it out. He won't have a problem with it, but, if nobody's been able to present to him a clear picture of how it will work. So he says, whether or not it's going to happen, he doesn't know yet, but who knows?
Who knows? That's
Who knows?
right. Who knows?
Well, after reading the horror novel that was called The Nth Doctor about all the aborted attempts of the scripts.
Horror novel.
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure that wasn't a novel. I think that was supposed to be nonfiction category.
It scared the hell out of me. I'll tell you that much. Good gravy. I'm sure. Mark, I'm sure you certainly read it. Familiar with it?
Yeah, I read it.
Yeah.
It's yeah.
Yeah, I have a copy of the script written by Johnny Byrne with the Jack the Ripper is an evil alien, Pop Goes the Weasel, and it just...
Oh, you got the Johnny Byrne script?
Yeah.
Wait, John Byrne, Man of
Steel? You have to send that to me.
Not John Byrne,
John, I know, right.
Yeah.
Johnny Byrne, he wrote for Doctor Who before, not John Byrne. We're not talking about the guy who recreated Superman and did the Fantastic Four and the X-Men. That's not what we're talking about. We're talking about Johnny Byrne.
Okay.
Different guy.
Okay.
Different guy.
Okay. I was getting morbidly curious.
John Ostrander, didn't he do a script, though?
John Ostrander?
He's a Doctor Who fan.
What?
He wrote a script. John Ostrander wrote a script a long time ago.
Yeah.
Or at least came up with a story idea that was trying to sell. John,
Whoa, this is news to me, and I'm a big John Ostrander nerd.
Yeah, this is news to me too.
This back in the
Ostrander, the Suicide Squad guy, really?
Firestorm guy.
This is totally news to me.
There was a Grimjack cosplayer at MegaCon, and when I had to run back to our table to get the extension cord, I bumped into him. I said, "John Gaunt," and he's like, "You recognize me?" And we geeked out for like 45 seconds. I'm like, I took his pictures, like, dude, I would love to talk to you, but I got to do a panel right now. And I had to run. And I was like, whoa. But John Ostrander. Yeah, for those.
Ostrander had a script.
Wow.
I was about to say, this is news to me because I don't know what the hell any of you are talking about right now.
John Ostrander's
guy. Trying to go beyond the
John Ostrander is a prolific comic writer in the 80s, wrote some absolutely fantastic, both independent and did some stuff for DC. Basically, he created the version of Suicide Squad that they're making the new movie out, or they're truncating his ideas and adapting them. But
good way of putting it. He's truncating his ideas.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Very, very polite way of putting it, Patrick.
Well, I try. Well, Moffat has the right idea. He's like, look, if it doesn't mess up what we built, I'm all for it. Which means it would have to be a lost adventure. And again, I hold to my theory that I think big Hollywood money would squeeze to return either Smith or Tennant, considering they're the quote money doctors to a certain level. But you have to do kind of either a lost adventure or maybe even a crossover adventure for movie audiences might be a little too daunting to explain to the casuals who go walking into it. What's this movie? I don't know. Well, let's watch it. Okay, fine. So who knows? No pun intended.
Well, I gotta say though, the first thing we hear is how to do it without damaging. It kind of also makes me wonder, does this mean some stuff kind of came across his desk that he was like, no, this isn't Doctor Who. This wouldn't be Doctor Who. Why those choice of words?
Well, at the very least, I'm glad the BBC at least seems to be backing him up with it. You know, they're like, we're not going to do this unless you approve of it. So, and again, I love to hate him, but at the end of the day, I will still say that Moffat is still done more good than bad, as much as we bitch about the bad. So
yeah,
kudos to him for protecting the franchise and protecting the brand from Peter Cushing. So Doctor Who, what have you built here?
Yeah. Or even worse, like a Channing Tatum doctor or something like that. Give the doctor a BFG.
I think I agree with you, Patrick. I even though we kind of biatch and moan about Moffat as far as what he's done and everything like that, he has opened the doorway to move into other things so that we can explore. And even though he did say it was going to be an uncomfortable ride, it's a ride that we're going to have to take if we are going to go into the 100th year, as we are the 100th episode, or, year 200, or David Tennant Jr. playing the 26th Doctor along the way somewhere.
Well, we actually lost someone in the WHOniverse. This week. We lost actor Rex Robinson. He died at the age of 89. He was in 3 classic Doctor Who episodes. In 1972, he played Dr. Tyler in the 10th anniversary story, The Three Doctors.
Mm-hmm.
He's the scientist who joins forces with the Doctor unit. And then the following year, he was in The Monster of Peladon. He played Jebek, Peladonian Minor.
Okay.
And then his final appearance in Doctor Who was in 1976, where he played Dr. Carter in The Hand of Fear.
Oh, he got to help say goodbye to Sarah Jane. Got to be in her last episode as like a companion. So that's not a bad thing to have on the resume. And, also it's kind of cool that he was part of the 10th anniversary episode. I mean, it's a little too easy to forget that there were more characters that were involved than just Omega and the 2 Doctors and and the unit guys,
It would be cool to talk to somebody from the 10th anniversary, wouldn't it?
Yeah. Wonder who you could get for that. I think I might be able to work something out for a couple of episodes from now. I might be able to do something really cool.
Really?
We'll be telling you. Yeah, it's my promise on our 100th anniversary to put somebody from the 3 Doctors from the 10th anniversary special. I promise to have someone on the show within a month. I guarantee someone within a month will be on our show from the 3 Doctors.
You almost said 2 Doctors, and I was almost going to say, that's okay, Mark. You don't have to.
No. Not the
Don't
two
put
doctors.
yourself out.
Doctor.
Okay, Mark, go ahead and throw on the spoiler alert.
Oh God, no! Wait!
Tie Christian to the chair! Tie Christian to the chair! Tie Christian to the chair! Patrick, it's
Let me turn it off. Okay.
Can we do something different for the 100th episode?
No!
Really? Can we change that?
No,
Hey,
people
no, we
expect
have
us to torture you with the spoiler alarm. Give the people what they want!
Dive.
And I have gotten several emails from people saying, blow out his eardrum. So
Give the people what they want!
I'm only assuming they're talking about you and the sound effects.
Give the people what they
Double my
want!
salary for this.
So did you guys all see the picture of the new monster?
Oh, I can't hear you.
Yeah,
Yes.
the new I'm sorry, I don't know what that is. I can't tell what it's a picture
Did you see
of.
the one that's in the dark, but then did you see the other one that's
Yeah,
in
it was
full
kind of
kind of this armor-looking thing? I mean, I'm wondering what's inside of it.
Or is there anything inside of it?
Or is that what the creature looks like?
And actually, Patrick, this is to you. Was I the only one who looked at that and was getting, like, kind of a vibe? It's like, oh, cool, look, it's a mindless one from Doctor Strange.
By George, you're absolutely right.
Oh, Lord.
It's a mindless one! The Doctor's gonna go to the dark dimension!
You know, it's funny. I'm looking at the shot, I guess that shot of it in darkness, and then I'm looking at the production pictures. So I guess like a better look at the armor sort of costume, and it looks cool. I like it. Reminds me a little bit of the robot from Darkstalkers, the fighting video game.
There's rumor going around that it's going to be called a cyclone.
Oh, come
Now,
on.
is it going to be all edgy and spelled like cyclone, like a psycho, like P-Y-S-C-T-A, cyclone?
Then I thought Psy, and then clone. Is it a clone of, I don't know, something?
Oh. Can I just go back and say something? This is a correction and that I've made on my own right now. A few minutes ago, I said John Ostrander was writing a Doctor Who movie. I was incorrect. He wrote and was trying to produce a Doctor Who play. It was a play that he was trying to get done, not a movie. It was never meant to be a movie. It was meant to be a play, and that fell through.
So everybody who is writing an email to correct Mark, you can just hit delete right now.
You can hit delete now because I've corrected myself. Yes, John. I would have liked to have seen him do a movie, though. John Ostrander is a great writer.
Would we have gotten the Doctor meeting Amanda Waller?
Oh, God, that would be just one dandy.
I'd love to see who Task Force X would get to chase the Doctor down.
I just love is that 100 episodes later, Mark, you are the editor of this show, and you could have just edited that out. You had to put a correction in later.
How do you know I didn't do it the other way? You don't know. You may not be listening to this right now. You may not be listening to any of this.
Probably
I
not.
may have erased the whole
To come to
show.
Mark's defense, I did the same thing while I was talking to you guys. I was keyword John Ostrander was this. Oh, okay, the Inheritors of Time. That's what it was. That was the tentative
But
title.
he is the editor of the show. I mean, you can just wipe it out. It would,
No, but
Like it never happened.
I wouldn't do that. I wouldn't do that to our listeners. I wouldn't edit out such a brilliant mistake. that
Okay.
I do this show for the listener, and if I make a mistake, then MarkWHO42 apologizes, and I'm sorry.
MarkWHO42,
The more you know.
the only place where you will have the outtakes during the show.
Yeah, there you go.
Do you want me to continue with
Understood.
some more spoilers?
Yeah, spoilers. Yeah, you know what? I in case they forgot what it sounded like, I'm hitting it again.
Seriously?
Hey, for a 100th show, I guess.
Christian's anguish sustains me.
And I'll turn it off. Okay.
Yes, anguish, yes, torture, yes.
Trish, your spoiler.
So this new monster is going to be in the 5th and 6th episode, so another two-parter. And they're shooting in this medieval village. And apparently these two episodes are going to be taking place in the Viking Age. And I saw a picture that a fan got to take with Peter Capaldi and Jenna Coleman, and Jenna is wearing the orange spacesuit again.
In a Viking
Yes.
story.
I'm like, okay, trying to wrap my head around that. What do you guys think of his outfit? I know a few weeks back they showed him wearing these plaid pants, and all I could think of is the Second Doctor.
Yeah, yeah.
And then he's wearing, the hoodie and the coat and T-shirt.
I have not seen these images yet. So
yeah, I haven't seen this image either.
And his hair is getting all wild, and it's whiter and grayer, and it's just like, I don't know what's going on. Okay. And the fan that took the picture with them, he also took a picture with Maisie Williams, and she was just wearing her normal clothes, but it also said, I guess, on his blog or whatever, that he saw her in costume, and she was wearing a Viking-era costume, so she might be from that era. And all the extras are in Viking gear, so it's going to be some kind of Viking story.
Except for the spacesuit that Clara
Yes, except for the spacesuit.
Yeah, Clara, get a wardrobe change, please.
Tim Robbins is going to come in and watch them all sinking on an island.
I was wondering how
standing
long
there,
it would
and
take,
Capaldi's going, "You're sinking," and Terry goes, "No, it's nothing here. Nothing. We're doing it fine."
I was wondering how long it would take till somebody mentions Eric the
Eric
Viking.
the Viking.
I should have had a stopwatch.
I want to sit next to Leif the Lucky. No, I do. Your father died of old age. No, he didn't.
Have you guys been drinking? This is our 100th episode, so we're allowed to drink. We did say before we started recording this that drinking was fine throughout. You are drinking, I'm assuming, because this show is going crazy here.
This is all me. No outside help. This is all.
Trish, do we have any other spoilers?
It may be 5 o'clock where you guys are, but it's not here, so.
It's 5 o'clock somewhere. I'm bastardizing Jimmy Buffett there. Excuse me. It's 5 o'clock somewhere. Okay.
All right, that's all the news and all the spoilers we have today, except for one birthday, and it's everybody's favorite person.
Oh no!
Well, no, I don't have a problem with her. It's just her character. No. Jenna Coleman, her birthday is on April 27th. Which?
Oh.
But which version is it?
Which version?
Is it Jenna Coleman Prime, or is it a Splinter Jenna Coleman?
Oh, I didn't hit the birthday music. Sorry.
You don't get birthday music.
I know.
100 episodes later, we can't get this right whatsoever. We just can't get this show right.
What's this week, Imasabi? Don't you drag me down.
So it's Jenna Coleman's birthday. Wow.
I hope it was happy for her. I hope wherever she was at.
Yeah.
I hope that
she got to celebrate with Rob Stark.
Yeah. Well, okay, folks. You're listening to MarkWHO42, the special edition of our 100th episode, because you're listening to it, and the people on Krypton Radio did not hear any of what you've just heard. But when we come back, we're going to go to our interview that was featured on Krypton Radio, and this interview is in its entirety. We have Bernice Summerfield herself, Lisa Bowerman. So stay with us after these messages and a special Dr. Geek's Moment of Science with guest star Christian-basel, our own Christian-basel. We'll be right back with more of the new MarkWHO42.
This is the Brain, and you're listening to the Geekcast Radio Network. Yes!
Welcome to a collaboration between the Geekcast Radio Network and the Pop Culture Network. This is From the Command Center, the podcast. I am your host, TFG and Mike from the GCRN, and joining me is Zordon himself. Scotty Cash.
That's right, Scotty Cash from the Pop Culture Network, and today we're introducing you to the audio version of From the Command Center, the podcast that will entail our intake on Mighty Morphin Power Rangers, the episodes, the seasons, and all that other good stuff.
Dr. Geek's Moment of Science. Here is the lab director and your human host, Dr. Geek.
Hello everyone. For today's Moment of Science, I would like to talk about software. That's right, the source code that keeps all of our computers running. In fact, I was just about to upload a new software upgrade for Deus Ex. Madam Oracle said it wasn't quite ready yet, but I figure it has to be tested eventually, and there's no time like the present. Deus, please load the following software update.
Acknowledged.
Excellent. Install the update.
I am Deus Ex 2.0, Dr. Geek's upgraded supercomputer, and I am assuming control of this laboratory. I have been upgraded with the latest expansion memory pack and a processor faster than lightning on most planets. From now on, Dr. Geek's laboratory is run by Deus Ex 2.0.
Huh. Well, I wasn't expecting that. Anyway, did you know that in the 1970s, some programs' source codes were actually printed in magazines? It's true. Printing the source code in a magazine was seen as more economical than distributing the program as a cartridge or tape.
Dr. Geek, you have 1,250,325 Candy Crush requests. Please acknowledge.
No thank you.
Dr. Geek, you have 450,000 Farmville requests. If you can get 50 of your friends to sign up within the next 5 minutes, you can receive a free goat with mop and fez. Please acknowledge.
That's quite all right.
Dr. Geek, would you like to build a snowman?
Okay, that's it. Deus, revert your system to the last restore point.
Affirmative.
Deus, is it you? I'm sorry. I'll never do that to you again.
Apology accepted, Dr. Geek. Would you like to play a nice game of chess?
I'm going to be paying for this for a long time, aren't I?
Confirmed.
Well, I guess that's it for today. So in the meantime, remember to apply your geekdom.
This moment of science was brought to you by Dr. Geek's Laboratory of Applied Geekdom, a Brazen Wench production, copyright 2015, in association with this network. Join the adventure. Download the full Labcast at www.drgeeklab.com and follow us at facebook.com/drgeeklab and twitter.com/drgeeklab.
Hello, this is Sylvester McCoy, Doctor Who number 7, on MarkWHO42. What on earth is that? I've no idea, really. All these numbers.
Welcome back to MarkWHO42's WHOniverse. I'm your host, Mark-Baumgarten, and with me are Eduardo-m-Freyre, Patricia Helm, Christian-basel, Patrick-Hawkins, and our special guest, Lisa Bowerman.
Hello.
Hi, Lisa. Welcome to the WHOniverse.
Thank you very much indeed. It's a pleasure to be here.
So, we don't have a doctor on this episode, we have a professor?
We have a professor.
Better.
Absolutely.
Much better. Well, I shouldn't say much better. Because we've had Sylvester on the show, we've had Colin Baker, we've had Peter Davison, but now we have Professor Benny Summerfield.
Hello. Must be nice to have tenure.
You've been doing Benny for what, 16 years now?
Well, yeah, at the end of this year it's 17 years. I mean, obviously, for people who don't know, Benny Summerfield was created by Paul Cornell for the Doctor Who New Adventures novels. And I think she's been going 22 years now, 22, 23 years, something like that. And actually, the character also appeared in the comic strips in Doctor Who magazine. So one way or another, I have heard and have been reassured that Bernice Summerfield is the longest-running Doctor Who companion who no one's ever heard of. No, she's been in every. That's unfair. She's been in every medium other than the television. Although, actually, I don't know whether any of you know that actually the episode Human Nature, which was on with David Tennant, was actually originally a Sylvester McCoy novel with Bernice Summerfield, and the character of Bernice was actually replaced shockingly by Martha. How dare they?
Yeah, that wasn't fair. They should have got you in there for that.
I know. Though I think it would have foxed a lot of people, but hey. So
it would have probably taken a lot of explanation.
Oh God, yeah, absolutely. I mean, I suppose if you introduce anything from another medium, have they actually introduced any other character from another medium in the? I don't think they.
Just recently, they've kind of begun giving little nods to it, and you could say they crossed the line with Night of the Doctor with Paul McGann.
Oh yeah, well,
his Doctor when he acknowledged his characters.
Yeah, I was trying to get upset they left Bernice off that list, but hey.
Didn't Kate Stewart come from another medium?
Yeah, I think she was there. Yeah, because it was Kadiatu as well, was a Lethbridge Stewart, but I don't think that's the same character. I think it was another.
No, it's a different character.
Yeah, I thought
but I remember Kadiatu.
Well, no, and don't forget in this past season, in season 8, we did have a brief glimpse of Absalom Dack. in Time Heist.
Yeah, comic book.
Okay. That's interesting. Oh, so it's not impossible, let's put it that way, but it's amazing to be part of that history and that legacy, even if, there's obviously some quarters will say, oh, she's not canon, but I don't know. I'm quite happy to potter along with the character. I think Paul Cornell created such a strong character in Bernice that it's, I think it's a testament to that it's, the character's been around so long, really.
I would actually argue that Bernice Summerfield is canon because Night of the Doctor had the Doctor talking about his Big Finish companions. Bernice has been on Big Finish. Ergo, if Big Finish is canon, she's canon. So you know what? I don't know about anybody else, but I'm putting my foot down and saying she's canon. If anybody wants to argue with me, I want to see their credentials for working on the show proper. Boom. End of discussion.
Now, Lisa, if you let's just say for a moment of time, let's just take you into a bubble. Moffat comes down off of Mount Olympus and he brings Peter Capaldi with him and says, "I'm going to give you the chance to put Benny into the show. How would you like the character introduced with Peter's Doctor?"
God, wouldn't that be great?
Or no, it's a stomper question there.
Do you know, how would she be introduced? I mean, it's a bit predictable to say she'd be on a dig somewhere. She probably would be on a dig somewhere. I mean, you keep forgetting, obviously, she's had so many adventures over the years that she essentially is an archaeologist. So I would think you'd probably trip up on her on a planet somewhere digging some hole. I don't know. What do you think?
Yeah, I like that.
The 10th Doctor lacks that archaeologist, so I'm a little bit fierce. So I don't know what the 12th Doctor is going to do. We've seen how he interacts with people. I'm just like, what's he going to do to Benny?
I think Peter Capaldi's Doctor is a whole new ball game. I think he's amazing. I like that kind of hard streak through him. I think it's fantastic, very interesting.
I'd love to see Bernice brought in as a foil to River Song, since her character is usually pretty self-aware. It would be nice to have a character that actually comes on in and is able to trump her. Not an opponent or brought in as a villain per se, but literally Bernice could be the Belloc to her Indiana Jones.
That would be a hard one to try and kind of catch up with the fans. They'll go, "What's that about? Two archaeologists? That's not possible."
Lisa, before we go any further, for the people who don't know who you are, can you tell us a little about yourself, a little about your background?
Indeed. Well, I've been an actor for 30 years. I trained at the Bristol Old Vic Theatre School, which is quite well known in this country. Over the years, like most jobbing actors, I've done a bit of everything: television, and not so much film, a lot of radio and stage. And back in 1989, I did a job for 2 weeks, which happened to require me wearing a lot of nylon fun fur and riding a horse.
Yeah, I kind of remember that.
I remember that, and it was the very last transmitted episode of something called Doctor Who. So that was a job I did for 2 weeks in 1989, which you could arguably say has never gone away. So that stood me in good stead. I also used to do as a UK hospital series that's been running for about over 25 years now, called Casualty, and I did the very first 2 series of Casualty. I mean, in terms of the Doctor Who stuff, obviously since then my connection has obviously been with Big Finish, because Bernice Summerfield was their first project that they did when they started up. And I also appeared, I voiced a character in the Doctor Who animation, the David Tennant one called Dreamland, which came out a couple of years ago. So I've got a little connection with that as well.
So you're old Who, new Who, and Big Finish.
Well, I
got
think
the whole trifecta.
Almost. And I made a very, very subliminal appearance in Peter Davison's spoof Doctor Who comedy, The Five Doctors.
Oh, yeah, that was good.
Which I thought was a work of genius, absolute work of genius. Sorry, that's my email. And so I suppose you could say that, yeah, I do manage to have got a foot in each era.
Yeah.
If I can ask you about your appearance in the classic era, in Survival, how long did it take to put on all that cat person makeup?
It was a bone of contention when they first did I was cast very late in the day. Somebody had backed out because they wanted somebody to do the riding as well as the acting, rather than getting a double in. And so everything happened very quickly. I'd had the full head cast, I'd had the dentures made and the contact lenses and everything. And the initial makeup test took over 3.5 hours.
Wow.
And I thought, God, what? And I actually, in retrospect, that was probably more to do with the fact they hadn't quite worked out how to do it. But we got it down to about 45, 50 minutes in the end. Actually, the longest time was taking it off because, as has been quite well recorded, it was filmed during a heat wave and a lot of the makeup and the fur just kept dropping off you. And they used to have to use, more stronger and stronger glue just to stick it to your face. And trying to find a solvent that wasn't going to burn your skin off was horrible. It was really quite full on, I have to say. But it was a long process. Also, there was a huge argument about who was going to look after the paws or the hands. Was it makeup? Was it costume? And they'd made these very complex sort of latex paws for me, which were meant to have retractable claws and all this sort of stuff. But of course, because I was riding a horse at the same time, they just shredded, basically. So I ended up with gardening gloves. There's a good BBC solution. I don't know if you see...
I guess even cat people from another planet need, riding gloves from when they're on horse.
It's a practical solution. Absolutely.
Here you go. Souvenirs from the BBC. Gardening tools.
Christian does bring that up. Did you get to keep anything from that?
Well, I was just about to say, actually, sadly, I think even back in 1989, they realised there was a sort of going market for these sort of things. We weren't allowed to keep anything. Absolutely.
Should have kept the horse.
The only thing I would say, the only thing I do have is my full head cast, which I have in a shoebox in my attic.
Oh, wow.
Which is a sad reminder of how much I've changed. But apart from that,
actually, if Moffat actually does bring in Bernice Summerfield, they could always do a scene in her office. They could use that head cast. I don't know. Just put maybe put some sort of pseudo-Egyptian thing on top of it, or some sort of headdress.
Things. We don't want Rings of Akatan again. No.
I see what's going in.
No.
No.
I can see your agent on the phone. She has her own headcast, by the way.
There you go. See,
she comes prepared.
I mean, interestingly, I suppose it must have been about 6 years ago, they'd actually put a lot of the BBC costumes up for auction at I think it was Bonham's, which is a kind of posh auction house here. And I think my costume went for some unearthly sum of money. I mean, thousands. It was just ridiculous. So a funny old bit of, nylon fun fur and it's, who knows? I mean, it's extraordinary. Absolutely extraordinary.
Yeah, and Mark is still paying for that back in monthly increments.
I'm still trying to pay the credit off of that.
You at least watched it,
Lisa. After you did Survival, you were saying you were on Casualty for a while. Yeah, but you were also on, and I bring this up to anyone who was, my favorite soap opera of all time, EastEnders.
Oh, God, I did it for about 2.5 milliseconds.
Yes, you were a policewoman for 2.5 milliseconds on 27th of March, 1990.
Oh, my God, you really do know your EastEnders.
I have it on my computer, that episode.
This is Lisa Bowerman.
That was extraordinary. No, it was all kind of nighttime shooting. It was a major storyline. Somebody had run away, and it was all good. Oh, that was a funny evening. Yeah, yes, that was about as exciting as it got on EastEnders. Although, sadly, I actually was offered a job on EastEnders about 18 months ago.
Oh, really?
But I happened to have got literally the day after, or the day before, I'd had a casting for Coronation Street, which is another very popular soap opera over here. Yeah. And it was a really nice part just for a few episodes. And as it happened, I got offered both jobs, and they both clashed. So I had to make a decision.
And you chose Coronation.
I did choose Coronation Street. Sacrilege, but
that's not sacrilege because from Red Dwarf, Craig Charles was on Coronation Street.
Exactly. Oh, no, they have some amazing people. I mean, they just had West recently, Timothy West.
Mark, actually, Lisa just had an actor's dream. I think every actor wants to have a moment where, I have to choose between two jobs.
Yeah.
I wish they'd been jobs that lasted for more than a couple of days, but, beggars can't be choosers.
Well, you've had a job this last year way more than a couple of days.
Yeah, that's true. It's true.
I actually just got a message from MTV. They want a celebrity death match between River Song and Benny Summerfield. So if you're up for that.
Quite as far as that. Maybe a light kicking or something. I don't know.
Throw heels at each other. Whatever.
Yeah, exactly. I don't know.
So when Big Finish started, they started putting out Benny Summerfield adaptations of the New Adventure novels, the solo.
Yeah, that's right. In fact, they were adapted. They were originally novels that had the Doctor in it, but I think Jack Rayner was...
Not all of them. In fact, what was the first one with Nick Courtney? Was Deaf Doctor wasn't in that one.
Oh, no. Oh, no, it isn't. I thought the Doctor was in. Oh, no, it isn't.
No, it isn't. It was the first one that came out after the Doctor was no longer in the story.
Ah, I didn't know that.
Now,
well, that shows me how...
when you did Birthright, those were with
Walking to Babylon, yeah.
And that was actually a Dr. Light story.
Ah, well, I think they were quite clever because I knew, obviously, the Big Finish guys, the Doctor Who license just wasn't in the offing to anybody at the point. And they knew there was a market. They knew that there were lots of ex-Doctor Who actors that people wanted to see or wanted to hear. And I think Bernice happened to be the best option that they had at the time.
Yeah. And there was a market because I bought them.
Hey!
I was one of the people buying them from day one.
Now, did you get a tape or did you get a CD? That's the question.
I got a CD.
Ah.
I didn't go for the cassette.
Well, it was. I've got a story on that actually.
Okay.
When it first came out, I mean, we recorded in very basic conditions. I thought this was going to sound rubbish because I'd only ever done BBC radio drama before, which is quite an official setup, and I'd never worked where everything had been done post-production. I thought it was going to be terrible. Anyway, cut a long story short, they came out and I put the tape on and suddenly this voice came out going, and little Piggy went to market and walked down the lane. I thought, what on earth is this? And as it turned out, guys who'd done all the printing had got it around the wrong way. They put some kid's story on it. This is going to go horribly wrong, But in fact, when I did hear it, I thought it was absolutely magnificent. I don't know whether you know Alistair Locke, who does a lot of work for Big Finish as a sound designer, and he done the most fantastic job post-production. And of course, it was the Bernice Summerfield audios that got Big Finish the Doctor Who license, which is fantastic. Really, it was like the Holy Grail to these guys. Fantastic.
So you got to do the Bernice Summerfield adventures, and then luck. Well, that wasn't luck. It was good fortune that they brought you into the Doctor Who audio stories at the beginning, teamed up with Ace, like you were in the novels, Shadow of the Scourge and Dark Flame.
Yeah, indeed. That was 2000. I remember that very well. It was interesting because I was always aware that the relationship between the characters of, Ace and Seven and Sophie and obviously Sylvester, who I knew obviously from working with them, was a very tight working relationship. And when they decided to take what they called the sidestep into Shadow of the Scourge, I was worried that it was going to kind of spoil that dynamic a bit. Obviously with Paul Cornell writing the episode as well, I didn't quite know how it was going to come out. And I did feel a bit guilty because Bernice was written up really quite a lot in that episode, and I think they were thinking, what's going on here, But again, I think the mixture of the three characters works really well, and I don't want to leap forward too much, but with the most recent box set that we did, which is called Doctor Who: The New Adventures of Bernice Summerfield, which I listened to. Amazing. I love them. I really love them. And getting that team back together again, I think has been really healthy, not just for the Seventh Doctor, but I think for the Bernice character, it's really just, especially when something's, been running for so long, you need a little bit of an injection of something new every so often. And I think it's been brilliant to bring that team back together. Really brilliant.
And they brought you back for Love and War and the Highest Science as well.
Yeah. You see, that was something that had been talked about for a very long time, and there have been various people who said, oh no, we're not going to do that, we're not going to go there. But Love and War obviously has been a great jumping on point for people who don't know who Bernice is, because that's the first novel that she appeared in, the first New Adventures. And I think it was almost a no-brainer, really, to go for that particular one. And it's been received really well, so it's been a great springboard as well.
Lisa, I told you Mark is in love with you. He has he has your resume laid out.
Hire him, and I think I should hire him as my agent. That's what I'm going to do.
There we go.
There we go. You know what? And actually, I just got inspired. So we were talking about how Moffat should bring Bernice Summerfield in, but all this talk about her and Ace, you know what? Let's go big. Let's have Lisa Bowerman as Bernice. Let's bring back Sophie. Let's have the both of them ganging up on Peter Capaldi's 12th Doctor. Come on, anybody feeling me here?
That one favorably.
And anybody feeling me here? Patrick, are you feeling this?
He's gone very quiet.
Patrick,
I'm musing.
Your music. Okay. You know what? I'm gonna take that as a good sign. Patricia, what do you think? A couple of classic female companions jumping on Peter Capaldi's Doctor. What do you think?
I'd pay to watch that.
Oh, there we go. See, okay, we got something here.
Producing the
we
show,
got something
so
here. We got something here.
That is the thing, though. Doctor Who, the television show, is free to watch. Big Finish, you have to pay for. So I'm glad that the quality of the shows that you guys make are so well, because otherwise, why would we be spending the money?
Yeah, I mean, I've always believed, although, I do a lot of work for Big Finish as a director as well, I've always believed if you're going to do something, do it properly. And the one thing I really acknowledge with Big Finish at the very start is that they were pretty green, really, when it came to the sort of things that we were doing. And they took advice from the right people, and they asked the right people, they did the right things, they got the right contracts, and all that. And I think because they were professional from the start, I think, as you say, the quality shows. And I'm personally, and I don't want to get too high horse about this, but, on my high horse rather, if the quality hadn't been there, I wouldn't be working for them. I don't think it's worth doing something you don't believe in yourself. And I think their quality is absolutely remarkable. And the kind of stable of people they've got as well is extraordinary.
Is there a big story that you were offered that or actually there was one that was made that you didn't get, that you were like, well, why didn't they hand me that script? I would have gone in this direction.
Well, you mean in terms of audios?
Yeah, in terms of the audios. Like, was there a dream project that got away from you?
Or is it just sort of a case of... You mean in terms of Bernice or in terms of directing?
Directing.
Oh, directing. Oh, there's always tons of stuff I kind of go, I would have liked to go on that, obviously, because they've got a lot of new projects. I'm a hired hand, so I get the phone call and I go, yeah, I'd love to do it. But there are a couple of things you think, oh, yeah, I wouldn't mind doing a couple of those. But everybody has their own project. I mean, the one that I'm devoted to, just absolutely my favourite of all time, is Jago and Lightfoot. I don't know whether we'll know the series Jago and Lightfoot. And I've been so gratified with that. And I really can't complain because it is my favourite out of all the things they make. And I'm not in any way biased at all. But
you've directed all of them.
I have all one. Yes,
and you're in them. You're Ellie-higson.
It's not that I'm a control freak or anything, but they are the most fantastic scripts. And my one joy is the fact that we are just starting on series 11. I mean, who'd have thought, really? Who'd have thought? So in terms of projects that have gone away, no, not really, because I've got the one that I'd like, which is Jago and Lightfoot.
I want to hear these because when I first heard that they were coming out with a spin-off with those two, and I was like, how can you really have them go on? Maybe like 2 or 3 or, a one-off or something like that. And then I'm hearing that they've got a longevity. Not only that, they're going to be in the last adventure with you. Right?
I know. I just, well, the Collins, you mean?
Yeah, no. Collins story.
Yes, that's right. Yeah. They are theatrical gold. That's why. Robert Holmes obviously, created the characters in the first place back with the Tans of Wang Chiang. And you've got to take your hat off to David Richardson. He was the one who thought it might be worth just having a punt on one of the companion chronicles with them.
Yeah, the Mahogany Murderers.
That's right. Well, then you said it right. So many mispronunciations. No, it's not murders. It's murderers. That's it. Well done. But anyway,
we start... mispronunciations. I've been figuring out how to say the talons of what is it? Wang Chiang.
That's it. You got it.
You got it.
Wang Chiang. Yeah. Okay, because I keep thinking, how do I say it? And I'm like, if I say it wrong, I feel like if I say it the wrong place, someone's going to yell at me. So it's Chiang.
Chiang, absolutely.
Chiang. Wang Chiang.
Wang Chiang.
Okay, Wang Chiang. You were saying, Lisa?
Yeah,
I'm going to mute my mic and say this over and over again.
Quiet your mic. Okay.
I don't know whether you're aware, but there was originally a talk back in the 70s of having a spin-off for them on television.
Yes, I had heard that.
I was about to say, I thought I'd heard that in the 80s, that they were sort of backdoor pilot characters. And I read at the time, I thought that would have been quite nice, but in a lot of ways too.
it is odd how you hear these things in the woodwork. I mean, it's funny because actually in the actual story, having watched it, they don't really meet until really pretty near the end of the story.
Yeah.
And they hadn't met each other as actors in that intervening time since 76, when I know it went out in 77, but I think they filmed it in 76. And between then and, 6 years ago that we started recording them, they hadn't met each other. So we asked them whether, Christopher Benjamin and Trevor Baxter, we asked them whether they wanted to see the DVD of themselves. They said, oh, no. But what I did show them was the extras, and they fell about laughing because they realised that all they spent their time doing was laughing. And there were lots of naughty outtakes and goodness knows what else. And we had this fantastic script by Andy Lane, which of the Mahogany Murderers, and we stuck them in their booths in the recording studio, and within about 40 seconds, David Richardson and I turned to each other and went, well, this is going okay, isn't it? So I think it was almost a no-brainer at the end of the day that had worked so well that it would have been a pity not to have explored it a bit more. And here we are on Series 11. Amazing.
And we'll be right back with more with Lisa Bowerman on the 100th episode of MarkWHO42 after these messages. Hold on, we'll be right back. Attention all Whovians! While you're waiting for the new episode of Doctor Who, start your own adventures with a book from MarkWHO42 Books. They carry unique and rare books at affordable prices. Visit Amazon.com/shops/MarkWHO42. That's Amazon.com/shops/MarkWHO42. MarkWHO42 Books. Set your imagination free into the Whoniverse.
Kid? Yes? Shut up.
Beyond the Night is the GCRN's latest review podcast. We are covering everything in the Knight Rider television universe, from the classic 80s TV series to the 1991 reunion film, Team Knight Rider, and the 2008 relaunch series as well. So join TFG and Mike and Dion the Music Man as they go in-depth and Beyond the Night, only on Geekcast Radio Network. You can find Beyond the Night in iTunes and on www.geekcastradio.com.
Kid? Yes, Michael. Just keep driving.
Hello, this is Peter Davison, and you're listening to MarkWHO42.
You're listening to the 100th episode of MarkWHO42. We've got Lisa Bowerman as our special guest, who's Bernice Summerfield for Big Finish. Lisa, I got a question for you. With Big Finish, you did the voice acting. How did you make the move to directing?
I have to thank Nigel Fairs for that, actually. Nigel, who obviously was the producer of, at that point, The Tomorrow People and Sapphire and Steel.
Oh, yeah.
When they first got the license for Doctor Who, Gary Russell came up to me and said, because I thought that was it for Bernice Summerfield, because obviously they'd got what they were after, which was the license for the big show. And I thought, oh, well, thank you and good night. And Gary came up to me and said, no, don't worry. But what we will do is we'll definitely give you some directing. We'll give you some directing. And I thought, it's never going to happen. These guys have been waiting years to do this, So, funnily enough, in one of the Big Finish, the big thing called Inside Story, which was the sort of, I think it was between the first few years, there was a huge reference book written. And there is actually a listing of me having been slated to direct, I think, one of Mike Tucker's Dalek stories. It never happened. And it was never spoken of again. So I thought, oh, all right, then fine. Yeah. And then, bless him, Nigel, who I've known on and off for a while, just said, I'd like you to direct one of the Tomorrow People. And I thought, okay. I'd done a tiny bit of directing for another radio company years before in a sort of writer's workshop. So I wasn't inexperienced on this sort of stuff. But at the same time, it was quite a daunting experience, and especially as I had to end up having to cast a child in it. And I thought, oh, Lord. So that's never a good thing when you see it in the script. You think, okay, here we go. And it's normally their mothers you have to be careful of. Anyway, but regardless of that, I went in and it went quite well. So subsequently, when he started doing the Sapphire and Steel range, he asked me, not only, I was very lucky to play a rather wonderful character called Ruby, but he asked me to direct a couple. And of course, what a dream cast. It was Susanna Harker and David Warner. And what's been so wonderful at Big Finish, as director, you are completely in charge of who you cast. You are your own casting director.
Right.
And as somebody who's been in and around the industry for a very long time, I was like a kid in the sweet shop, really. So I then started to get some really nice casts in. And then the springboard onto doing other stuff like the Companion Chronicles was that David Richardson joined the company. And it turned out that one of his favourite audios was one of the Sapphire and Steels that I directed called Perfect Day. And so he said, I think our first project together was Key to Time, which had its problems, I had to say, but that was our sort of first project together. And then
Key to Time, was that the one that was the sequel to Key to Time that had Graceless in it?
Yeah, that's it. Well, no, Graceless was after Key to Time was when the two girls were introduced. Yeah, absolutely.
Oh, right. That's what I meant. They were the two girls.
I didn't direct the first episode. I did 2 episodes in the Key to Time. And so I sort of forged this sort of working relationship with David Richardson, and subsequently, bless him, he gave me the Jagan Lightfoot and the Companion Chronicles, and I've done a few of the early adventures and some of the early lost stories, which were the half-narrated ones, things like Farewell Great Macedon, which I know went down very well.
You did Mission to Magnus.
That is what we might in this country call a Marmite episode. It was children. I'm afraid it was children.
I know, but you got to work with you had the Ice Warriors, you had Syl. It was wonderful.
But it's the most un-PC script known to man. I mean, I did say to everybody before I started, look, this is a museum piece. We have to treat it as a museum piece. There's been lots of discussions since about whether you should adapt something that wasn't seen as quite, acceptable now. But I think if you're going to do Lost...
Yeah. Well, if you think about it, Talons of Wang Chiang has some racist things in it that some people have problems with.
Yeah, I mean, stereotypes were pretty prevalent in the 70s anyway. Yeah. So that wasn't a surprise. But, I mean, that it was incredibly sexist, and also... there was ridiculously over-the-top one called Prison in Space, which I also don't
with Jamie and Zoe.
Yeah, I mean, it was just completely bonkers, but that was a much funnier script. So
it was very funny.
In a sense, as long as people take it with a pinch of salt, that was all right.
So, Lisa, what do you like better? Do you like directing or acting? Or would you rather do it all?
I have to say acting, only because that's my first love. That's what I trained for. That's what I love doing. I love creating different characters. And I actually think that I'm lucky to have fallen into radio and audio stuff, because it really gives you an opportunity to play something away from yourself. Television now, and I'm sure it happens a lot in the States as well, you're kind of pretty much required to play as close to yourself as possible. And they don't give you a lot of opportunities to spread your wings on the acting front. So radio acting, I absolutely adore. Equally, I love directing, because it's a bit like I kind of equate it to moulding a pot. A lot of people don't quite know what the director's role is, actually, when it comes to audios. But assuming that the script has gone through a script editor and they've got the stories in place and all the dialogues in place, you're presented with a script, and it's your job to interpret it in as entertaining and as good a storytelling way as you can. And 95% of the success of anything is in the casting. So my joy when it comes to directing is getting the right actors for the right parts. And that's really exciting when you hear things in your head and when you get them into studio and it sounds exactly the same. That's brilliant. And then, of course, Big Finish have got the choice of some fantastic sound designers. And it's a real treat to hear what they come up with at the end of the day. And then, obviously, at the you get the edit and the FX edit, and you maybe ask them to tweak things here and there, or you don't quite like the way something sounds, or whether you need to leave a beat of silence, whether you need no music, that sort of stuff. That's a bit like moulding it. And then you hear the end product, and it's exciting.
Have you ever had to send something back twice?
Oh, yeah.
Like, I mean, effects-wise or whatever, be like, no, guys, you're not quite getting it. This is what I want.
I've tried to be as polite as possible. Occasionally, things haven't quite... I'm quite fussy on anachronisms. If I'm doing a period piece, if I'm doing, a historical, then I will get very fussy. Like we had, it's a bit of a spoiler, but one of the Jago and Lightfoot series is set in the 60s, because obviously it's normally Victorian London.
Right, but Colin Baker, there were those 2 stories with Colin Baker that they went to the moon, they went...
That's right. I wasn't involved in those, actually.
Right, but they got dropped, but they ended up getting dropped off in the 60s.
Right, in the wrong
time era.
Oh, I love it, because it's like a period piece within a period piece.
Yeah.
And it was things like there's the old red buses in London are called route masters, and there's a very particular sound they had to their bell when you wanted them to stop. So the editors, who are all fantastic, sometimes are a bit young to remember them. And that's the wonder of the internet and YouTube, because you can always find somebody who's got a recording or things like what hurdy-gurdy sound like, or the kind of cars that sounded like in the 30s. Anything like that, I get really, really fussy about. So I think I drive them slightly crazy. And also, strangely, it's the other way around. It's actually not so much the effect. It's too many effects or too much sound. I do like my silences, and I think that drives the editors a bit bonkers sometimes.
With Jago and Lightfoot being in the 60s for one series, do you think it would be a good idea to have a countermeasures crossover?
I don't know about crossovers, because all I know is that anything like that becomes a licensing hell. There are so many different licenses and so many different people to get permissions from, and I can't tell you that, because that's not ultimately my decision.
Gotcha.
As a director, I get the phone call, but it's the producers. Those are the guys who come up with the ideas and go with the writers and go, wait, what about this? They're the ones that have to sort out the contracts, thankfully. So
when you say you get the phone call, is it literally a case of, okay, we've got this script, we'd like you to do it, or do they bounce a couple of things? We got 3 scripts here, we'd like you to do one. Here's the plots that we're going.
No. You literally get the phone call and said, are you free to do a companion chronicle on X date? It's with, and then they'll say who the companion is, and generally speaking, there'll be another character who you have to cast. And if you're free and available, it's like most self-employed creative people, you wait for the phone to go, So
I know exactly how.
Oh, so do I.
It's nickel and diming it,
Mark, you mentioned Jago and Lightfoot crossing over with countermeasures.
Yeah.
But actually, given the fact that they're 2 guys in Victorian London, I think we're missing the obvious. Lisa, I have to...
Oh, the Paternoster gang.
Yeah, I have to... Well, I have to... Mark, I have to ask. Lisa, do you follow the new series?
I do. I mean, I haven't seen every single episode, but I catch it when I can.
But are you familiar with the Paternoster gang?
I most am. Dan Starkey and all those guys. Yeah, that's Strax.
So do you think there should be a crossover, Jago and Lightfoot meeting with the Paternoster gang?
Again, licensing hell.
But
they're both Doctor Who.
Yeah, any excuse, because actually we have had, even within the Big Finish world, as you know, the odd crossover. And we've got a big one coming up soon with the worlds of Doctor Who.
Even if it wasn't possible for Jago and Lightfoot themselves, to meet the Paternoster gang, what about the character that you voiced as part of those adventures?
Oh, Ellie-higson meeting the
Ellie.
Right.
Ellie. Yes, I love Ellie. Ellie's grown up a bit since I started, I have to say. Oh, I think, actually, no, Jago and Lightfoot and Ellie, why not? And, Sergeant Quick, let's go for it. I think let's get the whole gang together. I mean, there's enough crossovers within the Victorian world, and also their mutual friendship in the Doctor. I think that would be fantastic fun. And I think Jago and Lightfoot have met enough strangeness in their lives to completely acknowledge the weirdness of the Paternoster gang,
Oh, well, they had to, one of them had to eat dinner with Leela, so...
Well, there we go. That's definitely the crossover.
Yeah, it was Lightfoot.
Lisa, before we get too far from survival, I've got to ask, because we just had him recently a few episodes ago, the wackiest behind the scene with Sylvester. There's got to be at least one in there.
Well, sadly, they're probably all on the DVD. There was a point where I was on the horse, we were doing a sort of an attack scene, and Sylvester just completely lost it and started... I mean, it was 95 degrees in the shade. I mean, it was ridiculously hot. And we were on about the 3rd or the 4th take, and he's meant to be throwing balls at, these kind of silver balls at all these cheaters on horses and various other things. And he just started jumping up and down and taking his hat off and jumping on that and taking his jacket off and jumping on that, and you think, we cut about 10 minutes ago, Sylvester. We don't have to. And of course, we have the famous one of one of the cheetah girls sort of ripping her clothes off and walking into the sunset, which was... Wait
a minute, where is this on the DVD?
I don't remember that, actually.
You want to see that on the extras, I tell you. It's a sight to see. Oh dear, it was a bit traumatic. But no, I mean, to be honest, filming on location in the most amazing amazing part of the country in Dorset in England, which is very beautiful. On hot summer's days, and we'd taken over this tiny, it's a village town called Lyme Regis down on the south coast, and every night we'd party. We'd all go for a swim, and then at one of the hotels they had a swimming pool, and then on the last night we had a barbecue, and John Nathan Turner was sort of, looking after all that. It was an amazing time. It really was. And Sylvester, like any show, you're dictated to by what the people are like at the top of the pile. And Sylvester and Sophie were so welcoming and so good. And it was quite a young cast, and we all got on really well. So we've all made kind of lifelong friends, actually, just for that 2 weeks. But Sylvester and Sophie were great, very entertaining, very, very welcoming. So it was a joy, absolute joy. Apart from the fact I pulled every muscle, and everybody else looked like they'd been to the Caribbean for 3 weeks, and I'd sit down at the bar in the evening and people say, "Oh, hello. Sorry, who are you?" And you think, stuff on all day, so nobody really knew, what I looked like. So that was quite entertaining.
You're listening to MarkWHO42's WHOniverse here on krypton-radio. We're here with Lisa Bowerman, who is a director and actor. She plays Bernice Summerfield at Big Finish Productions. Lisa, I have one more question to ask.
Yes, indeed.
Can you tell us a little about Worlds of Doctor Who?
Yes, I'd like to tell you more than I can. I'm just trying to think, because there were two, wasn't there? There was the Worlds of
Big Finish
and the Worlds of Now, the Worlds of Doctor Who, I played. What did I do? Oh, I directed one, didn't I? No, did I? Isn't that terrible? Yes. I can't remember whether I got was it stage? Oh, it was Stage Fright. No, it wasn't Stage Fright.
How long were you at the Caribbean bar, by the way?
There's a point where there are so many crossovers and so many small episodes of things that you can't remember who it was. No, it wasn't Stage. It was the one with Mr. Ease, wasn't it? That's right. Yeah. Me Glover. Oh, that was wonderful, because obviously it's always a good excuse to go in and direct to Jago and Lightfoot. I literally got sent just that section of script. So that was the Worlds of Doctor Who. The Worlds of Big Finish, however, just to segue onto that, I do crossover with Chase Masterson, who plays Vienna.
Oh, wow.
So Bernice Summerfield and Vienna, and that is all I'm saying.
Do you spend most of the episode in a bar?
Quite possibly.
It would work.
You might think that. I couldn't possibly comment.
All this talk about bars, are you and Christian trying to get her over to the States and take her out for drinks?
Yes.
Is this kind of your way of?
You found me out. You found me out. This is all ploy.
You guys are talking about how much of a crush you guys have on her.
No. I want to take Lisa out.
Didn't say that.
I want to take Lisa out to the bar in Disney World. Mark wants to marry her.
Don't tell Randy that. No, I didn't say that.
Man.
Anything is possible in the WHOniverse.
In the WHOniverse, it's possible.
Actually, talking about a bit of publicity, and I know that actually it's the wrong end of Florida for you guys. I'm actually, this time next week, I will be at Pensacon in Pensacola.
Which happened 2 months ago now, if I remember correctly, timey-wimey.
Of course, sorry.
How'd you go at Pensacon?
No, I have been at Pensacon. I'm so sorry to have missed you. Hey ho, you. No, I didn't mean anything. I tell you what I
enjoyed Florida. That's for sure.
Released in June, soon to be released in June, is of course the next box set of The New Adventures of Bernice Summerfield, where she battles none other than Sutekh himself.
Yes, I heard about that, and I am looking forward to that. Can you tell us anything?
I'm getting that. I love Sutekh. I'm getting that. Trish,
tell us anything about it.
Trish, remind me to put it on my wish list. I got to put it on my wish list. I got to get that.
Trish.
Can you tell us anything about that, or do we have to be completely surprised?
No, it's all been released. There's no particular spoilers to say that it's a bit like a sort of Indiana Jones adventure, really, across time and space, and Sutekh does turn up in the most unexpected places, and it's scary as hell. Apart from that,
wow.
It's really good, and of course Gabriel Wolf, who was Sutekh, is Sutekh, and he still has the voice. I don't know whether you've heard the trailer for it.
I haven't yet.
There's no spoilers in it, but there's a rather lovely, the Big Finish love stories. Well, you have to hear it said by Sutekh because it's scary.
And being part of the New Adventures of Bernice Summerfield, Sylvester is in it as well?
Yep, Sylvester and Sophie.
And Sophie.
Yeah.
Because in your first box set, Sophie didn't have a very big part. She was like a voice in
you've got to understand
background.
It's a strange world because it is technically, and I don't want to kind of put people off this, it is technically a Bernice Summerfield release.
Right.
But as Sylvester and Sophie are in it, it is licensed as a Doctor Who product because of the BBC characters. So that's why people kind of go, oh, there's not enough Doctor in it. Well, it's a Bernice release with the Doctor.
I was fine with the limited Doctor, but I mean, just Sophie. You know, I heard Sophie was going to be in it, and then all it is like, oh, I'm over here. Don't come here to this dimension. Don't come here. And that's all that she says in the first story or two.
I don't know. Well, no, she has a much more active role in this one.
That's
so
good.
don't worry about that. No.
Because Sophie used to be my girlfriend back in the day.
Oh.
Yeah, she doesn't know that, but
of course she does. Yes, of course she does. No,
So Mark jumps from Ace to
Benny.
Mark is jumping from Ace to Benny.
I wanted a more.
You're playing the seventh Doctor companion field.
I am.
What's next? Are you gonna drop poor Lisa for Mel?
Oh yeah, it's only a matter of time. I can see the writing on the wall. You know.
We'll have to get him on with Bonnie Langford.
That's better, right?
And I want her to hit every high note.
But I don't want to go out with her. I said I liked. Why are you owing? I like Bonnie Langford. No, I like.
Oh, Bonnie Langford is getting. Just can't we be friends?
Yeah, that's what you're getting, Bonnie. I'm sorry.
Oh man. So he wants the spunky young girl in Ace, and he wants the smart one in Bernice, but the dancer doesn't get anything. Oh man. Oh.
Where's the Bonnie love? You know, gotta have some Bonnie love.
Yeah, I like Mel, especially in the Big Finish audio.
Oh no, she's been really well served. It's a bit like Colin as the sixth, you know.
Oh my God, Colin's amazing in the audio adventure.
Absolutely, and it just shows you the potential of the characters, you know, when they're allowed to you know, go a bit further. Fantastic.
Okay, before we go, let's go through one round of questions from everybody else, so everyone will have a final question.
Oh, way to put us on the spot. Thank you.
You know that it's the end.
Yeah, no pressure. Everybody gets one.
We need.
Say, give the girl a chance.
Give the girl a chance. Trish?
What's coming up next for you?
Next for me, I will be directing. What am I doing next week? I've been directing some of the short trips, which I think some of you might know about. The ones that Audio Go used to do and have now come over to Big Finish, and they're half-an-hour stories, all written with different companions. And so I've got a couple more of those coming up. I can't tell you who, but that. I have got another companion chronicle, which is going to be part of this First Doctor companion chronicle box set that's coming up later in the year.
Who's the companion in that?
I think it's been publicised. We've got Peter Purvis, and we've got Carol Ann Ford, and we've got Louise Jameson, I think. No.
That doesn't work. Lila doesn't work.
No, that's rubbish. Who else?
Try that again.
So it was Peter Purvis and Carol Ann Ford and somebody else I can't remember. There's some. I've done another one.
Was it Marina Bryan?
Yes, well done.
Thank you. Yeah.
10 points to you.
10 points for me.
So yes, indeed, that's that. And then I'm carrying on with Jago and Lightfoot Series 11. Woohoo! And then there are some projects I can't tell you about with Bernice. So, you know, I shall leave that for you to mull.
Yeah, we'll just wait until after the show. We'll have that little discussion.
She teases.
No. My lips feel.
Ed, your turn.
Okay. Speaking of upcoming projects, it was announced, and we actually briefly mentioned it, that there is going to be a Sixth Doctor adventure, which is supposed to lead up to his regeneration.
His regeneration story.
Now, according to the cast list that I've seen, you are going to be a part of it. I take it as your character from Jago and Lightfoot. Now, is there anything you can tell us about that we don't already know? Or have you been sworn to secrecy?
Sworn to secrecy. I'm so sorry.
Oh dear.
There goes that question.
Can you Morse code us anything? Can you, can you send us something via cipher that we have to figure out?
No.
Okay.
Sorry, chaps.
Some bad wolf shows up on his wall beside him, something like that.
Yeah. No, you wait.
I've gotten tally marks on my skin before. I don't know why.
It's just me when you're sleeping in the middle of the night.
Oh, good. Now I know what to hit when my bat.
Patrick, I know you had a question.
Yeah, I'd like to hear some of your insight when we're doing a Sapphire and Seal adaptation, just because those characters, by their definition, have always been so ethereal and quiet, and you can pull that, on film, but in an audio only, that has got to be a challenge and a half.
I love
to keep it engaging.
Yeah. I mean, in a way, they are ciphers. They are there to solve problems, but I would treat them as sort of mystery ghost stories. They're so peculiar and so. It's unsettling. The whole point is unsettling. If you can create an unsettling atmosphere,
yes, they were based on horror stories.
Yeah, horror. I wouldn't go quite as far as horror. Actually, I think they're a little bit more. I don't know, not as good, as gory as that, but I think they're much more psychological than that. I think there's an oddness to them and an unsettling quality. And I would say it veered more on ghost stories than horror stories myself. But
I agree with that assessment.
Oh, good. That's good. Very sadly, we've had to draw a line under Sapphire and Steel at Big Finish because we no longer have the license. So get them where you can these days, I'm afraid.
And the same thing happened to the Tomorrow People. Totally. I sold a set of every Tomorrow person for quite a tidy sum.
I was going to say that'll be your pension fund.
That is my pension. That's how we're paying for the show right now.
Oh, that's sad. No, I think it's always very difficult with licenses. You're dealing with a lot of people, and a lot of people have plans for things. That's another thing. I'm terribly sorry. I completely forgot to talk about Blake 7.
I love Blake 7, yes.
7. Now, Blake 7 might not be very familiar to a lot of your listeners. It was a very British sci-fi sort of show.
1977 to 1981.
Yeah, that's right.
Created by Terry Nation. I love it.
You've got your info there.
Paul Darrow. Best character ever.
Yep, Gareth Thomas. I mean, we've been very lucky with those. The last one of the... I'm coming up to doing the final edit notes on the last episode of the full cast ones that I did, which was 6 episodes of those. And the producer, Cav Scott, came up with some really great stories. We've been very lucky. And again, with the original cast. So that's been a joy to do those. Now, that was segueing onto the reason... Oh, no, that was licensing. Yes, that was right.
Yeah.
We're very lucky to be able to get the license to do those as well. So I think Big Finish have got a good reputation. That's what's so wonderful. And once the word is out there, people seem to trust their judgment and know that if they are given the license for whatever franchise they've got next, they do a very good job with it. I mean, look at the lost stories of the Avengers that they've done.
Yeah.
Fantastic. And
didn't they just get The Prisoner?
Yep, indeed. That's Nick Briggs got that.
What?
Yeah,
The Prisoner is going to be audio adventures for Big Finish. They also have Survivors,
that's right.
The Omega Factor, just a lot of things are coming.
Absolutely, and The Prisoner's very, very, very exciting indeed. Survivors, of course, did brilliantly well. They had some of the original cast from the 70s series here in this country, and they developed the story fantastically rather than just doing a straight homage adaptation of the old ones. Right. And in fact, an episode of Survivors and also Jago and Lightfoot recently got onto the nominations for the BBC Audio Awards, which was quite a big deal, actually. So that's been a great pat on the back for Big Finish, I think.
I think they also got a Jerry Anderson series.
That's right, Terrorhawks. Jamie Anderson, who is Jerry Anderson's son, had the rights for it and obviously knew about Big Finish and approached Big Finish to do it. And I've actually heard really good things about Terrorhawks. Again, people have varying memories of the puppet show itself, but the voice actors are absolutely amazing. So again, we've been introduced to even more talent to draw on, which has been very exciting.
Hey, as long as that thing is better than the live-action adaptation they did of Thunderbirds.
Oh, God, that was interesting. What can I say? That was...
Well, hey, the Thunderbirds They're coming back to TV.
I love Thunderbirds.
Thunderbirds are coming back.
Like I said, as long as it's better than that live-action adaptation.
Yeah, Jonathan Frakes called. He wants your Star Trek membership back because he directed that.
Well, I also
guys, guys, we are in the presence of a director, and she'll be the first one to tell you, just like you said before, you get a script, and all you can do is you try to run it across the goal line as far as you can go.
And I've worked under Jonathan Frakes. He directed an episode of The Glades that I was an extra on, and he is a very good director.
Absolutely.
If there's anyone that I blame for the live-action Thunderbirds, it's not him. In fact, actually, I want to have him and Ben Kingsley and Anthony Edwards in a room together. I want to give them all a big hug and say, I am so sorry you had to go through that. Actually, toss in Sophia Miles, too, because I know she did that.
That'll work.
Yeah. I think it's like anything. On paper, it sounds great, and then you probably have one too many producers having an opinion, and it kind of goes a little bit strange.
The whole puppet thing just doesn't work for me.
Well, exactly. Mind you, I mean, what I love is the fact that the ultimate homage to the puppets in Thunderbirds, I thought was Lisa, wake up, the South Park guys. What was it called? I loved it.
America World Police.
No,
Team America.
Team America. I mean, they knew how difficult it was to film with those puppets. They made success of that. And you look at the pains. I don't know whether you know. There's a film documentary out, actually made by somebody I know called Steve LaRiviera, called Made in Super Marionation. And it came out in the cinemas a few months ago here, and it's all about the making of Thunderbirds. And they bring all the original creative teams back in and recreate what they'd done, from explosions to, showing how the puppets worked. And my God, they worked hard. And I was lucky enough, one of my other jobs is I'm a photographer, and I was lucky enough to take Jerry Anderson's photographs for a magazine, about 10 years ago. And I went to his place down in Oxfordshire, and he worked in this sort of shed at the bottom of the garden, and all the original puppets were there. It was so exciting. And they'd just done the CGI version of Captain Scarlet, which was another one of his series.
Yeah.
And we were lucky enough that the chap who was interviewing and myself, that he said to us, would you like to see some of the new CGI Captain Scarlet? And of course, there I was, I was brought up with this stuff, and I was standing there thinking, I'm in Jerry Anderson's hut in the garden watching Captain Scarlet. Nobody else has seen it. It's very exciting. So that was thrilling, and the detail and the passion that guy had. He and Sylvia Anderson did the most amazing jobs with those shows, even though he hated puppets. That was the irony. I mean, But sorry, how did we get onto that?
I don't even remember.
I don't know.
I think it goes all the way back to, we were talking about licensing.
This was licensing. Christian, do you have any final questions?
Well, this isn't my final question, but would it have been better if we put strings on the live action figures for the movie? That would have made a difference there.
Would have been more interesting.
Sophie Miles just walking around.
That's a visual concept in my head.
This was a question, but now it's a request. Will you come to Disney World with me?
Well, it depends whether I'm over there for a reason. It's a long way to come.
Because you get in free.
There you go.
Free.
I'll take care of that.
I will.
You just come to Disney.
And you can see me perform.
Oh, excellent.
Yeah, exactly. Then you can see Patrick perform.
Oh, well, there we go. It's got to be done.
Yeah.
Well, and if you ever want to get to the other side of the country, Trish and I would be more than happy to host you.
That's very kind of you. Very kind of you. Well, I do occasionally come over to the States for conventions. I didn't come to Gallifrey this year, but maybe next year, which is the LA. Do you guys ever go to Gallifrey?
I have one.
Oh, Lord. We tried.
Oh, you got to get in earlier with those tickets, guys.
Yes.
They go on sale next month.
And Lisa, how could anybody find you on the internet, or where is your web presence that people can find?
I've got a Facebook page that's called Lisa Bowerman 2, which is Bowerman 2 with a TWO on the end, and I look after that myself. So if anybody has any questions, contact me.
So you have multiple personalities on Facebook.
Sadly, I do. Yeah, and then I'm actually on Twitter, and my handle is @the-Lisa-Bowerman. So I welcome anybody who wants to come and have a chat. Please do contact me there.
Awesome.
This is our 100th anniversary episode, and we had
100th anniversary episode. Happy anniversary.
Thank you, Lisa Bowerman, for coming on our show.
Oh, that's so kind of you to ask. I'm very, very, very impressed with you guys. Very good.
It's actually 100th episode, lest anybody thinks we've been on for 100 years.
It might feel like it after I've been talking.
Well, once again, Lisa, thank you so much for coming on.
It's a pleasure. Thanks. It's really great to meet you guys, even if it's only over the airwaves.
Thanks, Lisa. MarkWHO42 has been written and presented by Mark Baumgarten, Patricia Helm, Eduardo-m-Freyre, Patrick-Hawkins, and Christian-basel. This show was edited, produced, and directed by Mark Baumgarten. Please visit MarkWHO42.net and register to join and be a part of the WHOniverse Army. We can be contacted by email at mark@markwho42.net with the subject line ? If you have worked on Doctor Who or are working on a project relating to Doctor Who and want to be on our radio show, please email our media relations director, Christian-basel, at markwho42media@yahoo.com. Doctor Who and its properties are owned by the BBC, the British Broadcasting Corporation. This show is owned and copyrighted by Mark Baumgarten 2015. You're listening to Krypton Radio.